Hello, it's Michelle Lupton here, and today it's Hop 10 for Case Me a Christmas Card. So today I am casing my good friend Nat Walsh, and I'm going to be using this stamp set called Pristine Poinsettia, which is from Gina K's recent release. So I hope you've been following on with our hops. There was, of course, one hop on YouTube for the first hop, and we've had 8 other hops on Instagram, and now we're up to hop number 10 back on YouTube today. So please follow along. There is a list of stops on the hop in the description below, and make sure you join in, and I'll let you know how to join in a bit later. So I've started with this stamp set and the very, very large floral stamp in it, and I've positioned it so that I can rotate my piece of cardstock here, so that I can stamp the image in the top right and the bottom left of my panel. And you'll see why in just a tick. I'm stamping it with Versamark ink, which is a clear sticky ink, and I'm making sure I stamp twice just to make sure I get a really good impression, because I don't want any of the image to be missing when I emboss it. So now I'm going to grab my gold embossing powder once I actually get my piece of paper open. And this embossing powder is from Hero Arts, my favourite gold embossing powder, and I'm just going to turn it around, make sure I've got gold embossing powder on all of that stamped image, and I'm going to be heating that up in a tick. Now, here is the card that I have followed the floral arrangement, so you can see the flowers in the top left and the bottom right, and the colour scheme that I'm using, and also the sentiment here. So those two cards from Nat, I liked elements from both of them, so I'm including both of them in my case here. Now, here comes the magic, and I'm sure all card makers remember the first time they saw gold embossing powder melted. It is just magic watching it melt and just go all shiny and metallic and gorgeous. Now, to make this even more gorgeous, I wanted to add some sort of sparkle and shine, some mica. So I'm using these watercolors. Now, I honestly do not know how to pronounce this. I looked online and I saw a couple of pronunciations, but in Irish, I think it's pronounced IUILE. So that's what I'm going with, IUILE Watercolors, which is a company in California, and they make these just gorgeous shimmery watercolor paints. And the colors that I'm using today, I used the China Red on the Poinsettia image. I used Golden Buddha in the center of the poinsettias, and also on a lot of the little leaves. You can see I'm coloring in a couple of the little leaves right now. Then I went and used a colour called, I love this, Lounge Lizard. I love that name of the colour, Lounge Lizard. I used Lounge Lizard on the holly leaves, so I'm moving on to them now. There's the Lounge Lizard colour. I sort of thought I wanted to go with a more muted green, so not a really bright green or a blue green, but a sort of yellowy green, so it would fit in with the gold a bit better. And then to finish off, I just used a tiny little bit of the Fiesta colour, which is a really bright red, and I used that on some of the berries in the image. So I'm creating so much shine on this card. So I'm mimicking the shine that Nat had on her card, on her red card, that I think she sort of blended some gold over her embossed background so that there was gold pretty much all over the textured background, but I've just added it in amongst all of my gold embossing here. All right, so that's my watercolor painting done, and look at the shine. Look at the shine. It is just so gorgeous, those watercolors. So now that I've done that, I'm going to move on to my sentiment, and I'm sticking to the same stamp set. So I've got this Merry Christmas sentiment, and I've stamped that in Altenew Obsidian ink, which is just a gorgeous ink to use when you want a really crisp black sentiment. I'm just lining up the die cut, the metal die to go around that sentiment. I'm going to be using my little Platinum Scout die cutting machine to cut that out, and then I'll be adding it right into the center in a minute, but I decided I wanted a little white border around the edge of my card, so I've just cut a little bit off the top and the right, so the flowers aren't actually symmetrically placed anymore, and I did that intentionally. So there's more flowers in the bottom left than there are in the top right, so it's a little bit bottom heavy. I sort of thought it looked a bit better that way. Now I'm adding a whole heap of foam adhesive to the back of this sentiment, and then I'm going to pop it up right in the middle, so that again is mimicking the placement of the sentiment in Nat's red card, even though the placement of the flowers mimics her first card. So I'm kind of casing two cards today. So thank you very much for watching my video, and have a look at the shine in this second photo. Now remember, you can join in with my series. To join in, you can leave a comment on a YouTube hop or an Instagram hop, or you can make your own card based on one of the guests in my hops. Make a case of one of their cards, link it up on my blog. There's a link in the description below, and you could win one of 16 prizes from our amazingly generous sponsors. So get involved. You have until November 7th to get your entry in. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.